If you've ever looked at the Nurture System bottles and thought, number 1, number 2, number 3, and wondered, what do these actually mean? Words like mycorrhizal inoculant, biostimulant, flowering response, and just thought, what does that mean for me? Do I need it? Do I need all of it? What do these actually do? Well, I'm about to break them down for you, the ones that I carry and why they're important. The number one thing you need to know is you probably don't need them all. Let me just explain to you. So think of Nurture System as kind of a build your own, depending on what you're doing with your collection. First, you're gonna need a good strong base. If you're growing tropical aroids such as Monstera, Philodendron, Syngonium, whatever, you need a good strong base formula that's going to be your overall feed, and that's going to be your number one. Nurture System number one, this one is the Power Grow. It's good for semi-hydro, it's good for soil. If you're growing in moss, whatever you're growing in, you can still use this one. You don't need to go anywhere else. It doesn't matter. I use this on my begonia, my monstera, my anthurium, my alocasia. Me and my personal collection, I pretty much just grow anthurium, begonia, alocasia, and Hoya, and I use this for everything. I also have plants in soil and semi-hydro. I might have a couple in moss, but not really on purpose. But this is your good base formula, and then you're gonna build from here, depending on what you need and what you're doing with your collection. So think of this one as like the plant's food. This is the main plant food. Number one, Power Grow. Now let's check out number two. Okay, so the number two is a biostimulant. This one is called the Nurture System Power Boost. Think of this as a performance booster. So this is going to concentrate on your healthy root growth. This is going to increase flowering response, vitality, yield. If this is an additive to your base, so this you would add to your number one. This is not a plant food. This is not a standalone. This is an additive to boost your root growth, to boost your flowering response, to just give your plants more like strength and resilience. You can use it by itself, but the company does recommend that you pair it with the number one, and this is your it's like an extra power boost. And now let's move on to number three. If you've watched any of my other videos, you've probably heard me talk about number three a lot. This is gold to me. I love this product. This one is the Rapid Recovery. So if you have plant stress, be it from importing, repotting, root rot, you're switching substrates from soil to semi-hydro or vice versa. This stuff is absolutely amazing in helping your plant recover, reestablish, and not skip a beat when you're going through whatever transition you're going through. It's even good for establishing a propagation or a cutting. You can use it to help grow your roots too. So this would also not be a standalone. You would add this to your number one if you're using it in your everyday plant care. Or personally, I use it by itself. So if I'm trying to reestablish a plant that I've imported or I've repotted, or I'm growing a propagation, whatever it may be, personally, I take this product alone. I use it with reverse osmosis or distilled water, and that's all I'm using in my feed for that at that time. So I don't add this to my regular lineup. However, you totally can, and most people do. This is just not what I use it for. Number 5 is the almighty Nurture Spore. This is your your mycorrhizal inoculant. So this is a powder, not a liquid like the others are a liquid. So this is like your Great White or your TPS billions. This is a mycorrhizal inoculant. This will help form a symbiotic relationship between your plant's roots and the substrate it's in. So this will help establish your roots so they can uptake the nutrients better. It's not a fertilizer. I take this and I put it in a little container, and when I'm doing my repots, I sprinkle a little bit on my root system and then I pot it in so it comes in contact with your root system. That's really important. Or you can take some and dissolve it in some water and then inoculate your plants that way and just water your plants in. I try to do that every couple months just to kind of refresh it. It is a fungi and it's not something you see though. So it just helps your plant's roots uptake nutrients that it may not be able to uptake on its own. So when you're feeding your plant with your number one or your number two or anything else, your plant may have a harder time uptaking certain nutrients. So the symbiotic relationship that this product forms, and it kind of puts out these little micro hairs, it just increases the access availability to your plant's roots to be able to uptake all of those nutrients that you've put into your plant. So all the money that you're spending to put nutrients in there, this just helps your plant intake all of those nutrients. This stuff is can't live without in my world. Next is number 6. This is the Root Doctor. So the Root Doctor is enzyme powered, and when you put this into your fertilizer mix and you water your plants in it, the enzyme power in Root Doctor helps to break down any dead matter, organic material, debris, any dead roots that may have died off. It helps break all that down, and then it kind of changes things into something that your plant can then uptake. I don't want you to think it's taking all the dead matter, breaking it down, and then your plants are eating it. It's not quite that, but it does break down by enzyme all of the dead matter, dead roots, all that stuff, and then it takes the whatever nutrients that were in that matter and then allows your plant to reuptake those nutrients that were left behind in the dead matter. So this is like a root zone cleanup. Like, you don't even have to do anything. You just add a little bit of this into your nutrient solution and it does all the work for you. And then last we have number 10, which is the Armor X. So this one is definitely a plant resilience strengthener. This will help strengthen the cells in your plants. So Armor X is what will help your variegated plants hold on to those white, beautiful pieces of their leaves and help it to not brown off so fast. It just gives your plants a lot of strength. So it helps prevent like pest damage or pests because your plant is a lot stronger and more resilient. So I use this in my nutrient lineup so I can help fight against, it doesn't fight against pests. It just makes your plant stronger if they get them. Does that make sense? It also helps maintain my beautiful variegation longer. I know I've showed pictures of my Alocasia mellow variegated, and I've had a pure white leaf that's just hung on for months and months. Like the pure white ones usually die off pretty fast because there's no chlorophyll. Armor X provides your nutrient base with the strength that to give your plants the strength to kind of hold on to that variegation longer. So as you can see with this lineup, that each product does something a little bit differently, and it's going to depend on what you're trying to do with your collection. Maybe you might need one thing over another thing. Maybe you might combine things a little bit differently, and that's okay. You don't have to have every single thing. Personally, I like to use all of the Nurture System line because if I'm using one brand, I try to stick with that because they're built to work together, and I know that I'm not going to have any issues combining this product with this product. They're made to work together. So it is how I keep my plants happy and healthy. These are just my shop plants. These aren't even like my entire collection. This is just the shop. I have hundreds of other plants in other areas. This is just kind of where it's most comfortable to film because I don't have so much chaos going on. So just to refresh quick, number 1 is your base. Number 1 is your all-around feed. Number 2 is your power boost. This is your flowering response, root health, strengthener, biostimulant. Good stuff. Number 3 is your rapid recovery. This is the only one in the line that I personally do not mix into my fertilizer solution. I use this for a separate reason, and that's my repots, my imports, my transplant shock, my rooting, all those things. Number 5, Nurture Spore. I have used Great White for a long time, and I feel like it has done wonders, and I do heavily rely on what the Mycorrhizae does in my substrate. I've now swapped over to the number 5 because I wasn't able to get my hands on this sooner, so that's why I was using the Great White instead. But now that I'm able to get this, like I said, I use all of the same line, and it's wonderful. Not that my Great White is not, or another product is not good. I'm not saying that. I'm only saying that I like to stay in the same line and just have everything where I can have the peace of mind that it's all going to flow smoothly and I don't have to worry about it. Number 6, I don't want to know what's happening. I don't want to worry about what's happening in my root system. I want to know that it's cleaned up in there, that everything is doing what it's supposed to do, and Root Doctor just gives me that peace of mind of knowing that it's all being broken down and whatever is able to be uptaken is. So I know that my plant is getting the maximum that I'm giving it. I know that the nutrients that I'm providing are all going to be uptaken by my plant's roots, and that my root system is happy and healthy. Because if you don't have a happy root system, you're not going to have a happy plant. You can't have good foliage without a good, strong foundation in the root system. And then number 10, which is my Armor X. I guess if you're comparing, it's similar to a silica. Except you don't have to wait as long when you put it in the mix as you do when you put silica in. But it's the same idea. It's the plant strengthener. It's your variegation holder. If you don't have any variegated plants at all, I would still use this because it does strengthen your cell walls in your plant, and it still does have a huge benefit to your plant. However, I understand, right? I just don't want you to think it's only for variegation, because it's not. If you have any questions, please link it down below in the comment box. I'm more than happy to help. I know this wasn't scientific, but that was the point. It was just to break it down for you in a way that regular old people could understand. If you want the science-based facts, go to the Nurture System website. They're going to give you everything. They also have a 3-month, I want to say, experiment that Kaylee had run before putting this line out. By the way, this was created by Kaylee Ellen. I'm not sure if you're familiar. I feel like most people probably are in the plant community, but if not, that's who created this. And on the Nurture System website, you can see an experiment that she did way more than I have the bandwidth to do, not the ability, but the bandwidth to do, but she'll show you and she compares it. So it's wonderful. And you'll get all the scientific facts, all the information you could want on there. This video was more just to break it down for the regular person to understand what each thing does, and for you to know that this is kind of a build your own system. The only thing I add to my nutrient lineup when I'm creating my solution is I do add an additional CalMag. The number 1 does have an elevated level of calcium magnesium in it because it is built for the aroids. However, in my Anthurium, I personally like to add a little bit of an additional CalMag, which she does also have. It's the number 4. That's the only one that I have missing in my shop, and it was a logistics concern, so potentially the next time I place an order, I'll be able to get some of that in. But for now, I do have every other nutrient line that she has. I do carry in my shop. You can find that on my website. It'll also be linked in the description of this video. The number 5 Nurture Spore I have in a very limited quantity. So if this is a product that you're interested in, I highly recommend you don't wait to get that, because I I have less than, I think I have 10 altogether right now. That's all I have until another order, which is probably going to be a while because I just got a huge shipment. So I do have all the other things except the number 4. If you have any questions, please let me know. I hope this video helped you understand what each product does and why you may or may not need it for your plants. Let me know. Thank you. I'll see you next time. Bye.